that is coming up. Peter, I start with you. As we'll watch ahead to week 2, Jalen Carter will not be suspended for this game against Kansas City. How does that affect the Chiefs as we look forward to that Super Bowl rematch?
In an amazing way, it's almost like Jalen Carter had a bye week last week and is now going to be completely fresh against the Kansas City Chiefs. It's huge. I think a lot of us on this side of it thought that he was going to be suspended at least one game based on the emphasis the league has put on sportsmanship, and he spits on another man on national TV before the game even starts. He's out there, he's ready to go, and if you watch that Chiefs offensive line, they might be in trouble against Jalen Carter.
Kmart, I mean, we saw this game, the last game of last season.
And the Chiefs got spanked.
So now what?
So I think at this point, the Chiefs are at home. So I'm interested to see how the Arrowhead effect has on this game. But when have the Chiefs struggled? When has Patrick Mahomes looked the most uncomfortable? When he's not being protected. They also have, between suspensions and injuries at the wide receiver position, and you're going up against that secondary, which the Eagles, the secondary had some questions coming into the season, but all signs point to the Eagles should have their way, except, I don't know, rematch. The Ravens are talking about revenge all week. We'll see if the Chiefs can get revenge against the Eagles.
If they open 0-2, history says they're in big trouble. I'll give you numbers to demonstrate why as we continue. Next, Lewis, week 2 watch. Who are you watching for in the second week of the season?
Yeah, I want to see the number 1 overall pick, Cam Moore, kind of just settle in. Look, that's a hell of an assignment to draw week 1 when you're going up against the Denver Broncos and the way in which they can rush the passer. Just want to see him get on the same page with his wide receiver group. Want to see the offensive line protection improve. Want to see Brian Callahan make sure there's some easy completions for Cam early on. Get the running game mixed in and see if he can go ahead and level up his performance. I think this kid is uniquely talented. He has the right kind of mentality. He has the right kind of mental resolve. I want to see him take a big jump from week 1 to week 2, and I think he will.
We didn't talk much this offseason about this young man. And we should have,
yeah.
As the number 1 overall pick. The Titans have their guy, but to your point, want to see his wide receivers help him out. Want to see this team. This is with their second-year head coach in Brian Callahan. They seem to be building something, but we're just not sure how long it's going to take. But they have the most important piece. You just want to see him build, and hopefully, offensively, they're all on.
They were right there with a chance to win that game in Denver. Dominique, what are you watching for in this week 2?
I might surprise you because I'm going to get away from the quarterbacks for a second and go to Javon Kinlaw and the Washington defensive line. I was shocked at how they dominated the Giants offensive line and how good that Washington defense looked. And as we talked about earlier, I think people were anticipating some regression from Washington because they assumed that some of those things that happened last year will repeat this year. If that D-line can improve this defense to the way that they had, to the ability that they were last week, then this is a real deal Super Bowl contender.
When you look at the Commanders, all the talk, as it should be, is on Jayden Daniels.
Right.
And then getting all the offseason talk. Terry McLaurin, will you get him signed? Debo Samuel. They're putting all those pieces to help the young quarterback. But defensively, that was the big question mark. If you're a Commanders fan, you were feeling good heading into the season, but you felt better after watching this game.
But look, we've been calling some of these games September to Remember games. And certainly tomorrow night is going to be one of those because you got the Commanders who are thinking championship thoughts. You got the Packers who certainly look like a championship caliber team in week 1, and they go head to head this quickly. Feels a little bit like a heavyweight title fight. Jayden Daniels on one side, Micah Parsons on the other. I understand they wouldn't be in the same weight class. so maybe the analogy is not perfect. But this is a fascinating matchup. And Neek, earlier this morning when I asked you, what is at stake when these two teams go head to head tomorrow night?
Whoever wins this game then becomes the contender in the NFC with the Eagles. So they're going to be matching up against the Eagles, and they're going to anticipate that matchup if one of these teams can pull away. And I'm leaning towards Washington, man. Like, I really like the way that Washington played last week.
What is your sense of this, Lewis? Because the Commanders were, I felt like I had a lot of people here sort of predicting a little bit of a drop-off for the Commanders. There were some signs you might get regression. All the close games they won last year.
Downs.
Now there's tape on. I keep hearing how much tape there is on Jayden Daniels.
I know.
He still remains pretty fast.
That's one of the most overused, I think, explanations when it comes to quarterbacks who have like bad second years. That it's because people have tape on them. They had tape on him last year. Right. Jayden Daniels has tape on you too, so he's kind of figuring it out too. I think. Look, I like the way this offensive line looks. I like the bookends of Larry Tunsil and Josh Connerly. I like how Zach Ertz looks. Look, Debo Samuel, they worked him into this offense nicely. Terry McLaurin was basically a non-factor week 1. Yeah. And Jayden looks like a guy who seriously got in the lab this offseason and said, I'm going to level up again on y'all. And I'm going to show you how it looks when you don't have regression.
Yeah.
So for this game in particular, look, this is about protection. This is about making sure that Micah and Rashawn Gary and Devontae Wyatt don't wreck the game.
That's right.
And Adrian Cooper don't wreck it because they can wreck it. Yeah. And I think that's what's important. But Jayden is so uniquely qualified, I think, both mentally and physically to handle it. And he's got some horses up front to help him.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? You just said if you think about what was good for the Commanders is they played the Giants last week, right? So they have they got a good front. So they're coming into another. I'm going to go face another good front.
Yep.
What did Washington do last week? Their running backs were the most productive running backs in the NFL, right? 133 yards with these. That's showing that your offensive line is putting things out there. They will have to have that same plan against this Packers defense. Don't rely on heavy drop back. Don't rely on Jayden Daniels having to run around and scramble. Allow the game to come to him by being productive. Exactly the same game plan they went in, except add Scary Terry in a little bit more for explosive plays.
Biggest X factor might be Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator of the Packers, who left the college game where he was a head coach so he could be a coordinator in the NFL. And in this defense, we have heard so much about what a failure Lucas Van Ness has been as a first-round pick, and Quay Walker, and you mentioned Wyatt. All those guys played wonderfully
They did.
on Sunday. So if you have Micah, who you know is going to be the shiny piece, and all of a sudden everyone around him steps up, watch out. This could get ugly, and the Packers could have the answer key to what the Commanders have done.
Let me circle it all the way back to where Dominique began. Yeah. Because I think that obviously the way you promote a game like this, the storyline is going to be Jayden Daniels against Micah Parsons. But you were talking about the other side of it. I've got people up here, Dan Orlovsky predicting Jordan Love to be the MVP of the league this year. You don't like it?
Oh, no, I love Jordan Love. He might be the MVP, but I think that conversation shifts to Jayden Daniels after this game. I think we're talking about Jayden Daniels making the MVP run after this game more than Jordan Love. I think this game is about
You're telling me right now you like Washington tomorrow.
I like Washington tomorrow night going into Lambeau and getting the win. And it's going to change the way that people talk about and think about this team. And I'm a little biased. I'm in Washington, so I have a little bit of that influence.
His zip code's right there.
I'm not rooting for the Commanders, but I've seen Jayden Daniels play.
Yeah.
And I know Jordan Love has a really high ceiling, but Jayden's been consistently at that ceiling since day one. He could have been MVP last year if he didn't get hurt. So
I think that's to piggyback off what Nick's saying. I think this game kind of elevates Jayden in terms of him being the total overall quarterback, right? Because he has to not only does he have to play well, he has to manage the other guys who are hunting him now, right? Yeah. So he has to know, okay, well, how am I going to deal with Micah Parsons? How am I going to change these protections to make sure he's not getting after me? And then, hey, Rashawn Gary's pretty good too. Adrian Cooper's pretty good too.
Yeah.
You know, Devontae Wyatt, these guys are all pretty good. So if he can manage all of that, making sure they're in optimum plays as much as possible, and it's not going to be perfect, and he needs some help around him, then now you're starting to talk about him the way you talk about all the great quarterbacks, which isn't just about athletic ability, it's about their mental ability. And Jayden, I think, is someone we don't give enough credit to him for that aspect of his game, but we will after tomorrow.
Listen, I think people undersell, like Jayden, he played the Eagles, played the Cowboys, played the Giants. Like, all these have good fronts. Like, don't get confused of that he's played some kind of lackluster defensive fronts and doesn't understand protection and pickups and what he is. The thing that was most impressive about him is his composure going through all of those things. The dude doesn't get rattled, man, and which is, I mean, I think there's nothing else I could say that compliment a quarterback more. It doesn't matter what happened. This dude looks like he is as cool as the other side of the pillow.
It's interesting, as Peter, you're one of the storytellers of the league. And this is a perfect spotlight standalone game against the team that everyone is talking about, with the superstar that came in the trade that everyone was talking about. So I think Neek is right. This is the spot where Jayden Daniels, we point to these signature games. Josh Allen had that one where he caught and threw it. But this is an opportunity for Daniels to step into that.
I get so emotional about it and romantic about it because it does feel that big.
Voice back?
No doubt. This game, Al Michaels on the call. If the lights are on, everything's here, and you've got this powerhouse defense in Lambeau on a Thursday night in September, and then you've got the youngest star in the league trying to make his claim on the road. I think it's awesome, and I just can't wait to watch.
Quickly circling back, though, to where you began. What do you think of Love against this defense in Washington?
Oh, yeah, we'll find out how good this Washington defense really is. I think Love is excellent, and he was great last week. But it's different playing in a situation where you're in control of the game the entire time. I think that there will be answers offensively. So if the Packers score, Washington's going to score. There's going to be pressure on them.
There is a certain freedom to Jordan Love's game, too. also that makes you kind of like get attracted to watching him play. He looked in total control against Detroit as well. I mean, it was just as easy as can be for him.
Let me get y'all hyped. You want to get hyped? Kinlaw already said. I mean, it was on a Tuesday interview. It's an ice bag game. That means they're freaking bringing it, dog. Haymakers will be thrown.
That doesn't get anybody hyped.
That gets me hyped up, baby. I'm ready now. Let's talk that stuff.
It is also worth Jordan Love threw 2 interceptions in that game. One of them was dropped and the other one was called back on a penalty. But he has a propensity to throw the ball to the other team, and let's see if that winds up being a factor.